I'm going to harvest the calendula blooming in my garden. Calendula is a lovely medicinal herb, so with my harvest I'm planning to make an infused oil, a tincture, and a few other things. Calendula is a great plant for beginners because it's easy to grow. Harvest calendula every few days if you can, or if you can't get out to your garden enough, like me, just make sure to pick off the spent blooms to encourage more flowers. This is called deadheading. Oh, and you should harvest calendula during the hottest, sunniest parts of the day, unlike most other herbal flowers. So this is when calendula is producing the most medicinal resins, and that's exactly what we want. So if you're harvesting calendula and your fingertips are getting all sticky, that's a great sign that you have potent flowers.
So calendula, it holds a lot of moisture, and so that makes it difficult to dry. So I use a dehydrator to dry most of my calendula, and even using a dehydrator, it will still take me a couple days to fully dry the calendula flowers. Make sure to check the centers of the flowers to see if they are fully done drying. They should be hard and dry, not moist and flexible. Then store your dry flowers in an airtight container. So a sealed glass jar is ideal, but I tend to use plastic food storage bags just out of convenience. Also, it's a really good idea to check your calendula flowers a few days after you've finished drying them, because calendula is notorious for not actually being dry, even when you think that they're done drying. So what happens is that even one flower that's a little bit wet can spread its moisture to the rest of the bag or the jar of flowers. And so if you check your flowers and they've actually gone a little bit soft, that's what happened. And so just put them back into your dehydrator or your drying setup for a little bit longer. It's important to get them fully dry.
Calendula infused face oil is my favorite thing to make with calendula flowers. Having dry flowers is important for making an infused oil, since putting fresh flowers into oil would cause the oil to go bad quickly. I'm using 1 part flowers to 8 parts oil. What oil you use depends on the purpose. So I'm using jojoba oil because it's my favorite oil for everyday skincare. I'm heating the oil and flowers in a double boiler, and I want to keep the temperature between 130 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Higher temperatures will destroy some of the phytochemicals that I want here. I'll stir it and check the temperature regularly, about every 15 minutes.
So this is going to take a few hours. Infused oils generally can take 3 to 4 hours. And so while I wait, I wanted to talk about the benefits of calendula, because why go through the effort of making an herbal preparation with calendula? While calendula has a lot of benefits, calendula is often used externally because it's really helpful for skin issues. So that could be something like an insect bite, ulcerations, varicose ulcers, or just wounds and burns in general. However, I'm making an infused oil right now, so I just want to say that you wouldn't use an oil-based herbal remedy for fresh wounds or fresh burns. With burns, oils can keep in the heat, which you don't want, and for a deep wound, you don't really want that oil going in that deep wound. But for older wounds and burns, a calendula oil would be also really great to help heal that scarring.
Another popular way to make an infused oil is to put the oil and flowers in a mason jar and set it by a sunny window for a few weeks. The sun helps infuse the oil, and then you shake the jar daily to encourage the infusion. I prefer this stovetop method because in my experience I get a more potent product in the end, but maybe I just don't have a sunny and warm enough window. After 3 to 4 hours, the oil has become a dark orange color, which is a great sign. It's also fragrant, so to me it has a toasty, warm smell like a fresh baked pastry, so when I smell that, I know that the oil is ready. I now strain the flowers from the oil and put it into a dropper bottle. So I used to sell infused calendula oil when I had my own small herb farm business, so I still have the nice labels. Look at how potent this oil is. You can tell that there's a lot of calendula infused into this jojoba oil. I decided to make another batch of infused calendula oil, but this time with olive oil. I switched up the oil because I'm going to turn this oil into a calendula salve. Jojoba oil is great for everyday skincare. Extra virgin olive oil is best for medicinal preparations because it has healing qualities of its own. So once you have an infused oil, making a salve is really simple. All you need to do is add beeswax. I'm adding 1 part beeswax to 5 parts calendula infused olive oil. Then pour it into small jars or tins. If you want, you can add a drop or 2 of essential oil into your containers before you pour the liquid in. The salve will cool and harden, and then they'll last a year at room temperature. I store my salves in the fridge when possible to keep them fresh a little longer. Calendula also has health benefits when taken internally, typically as a tea or tincture. Calendula has an anti-inflammatory action in the digestive system, and it also supports the lymphatic system. Making a tea is an easy way to get the health benefits of calendula. I let most of my herbal teas infuse for 10 to 15 minutes and cover them during that time before straining them. Because of the resins, calendula tea has a strong flavor, in my opinion, so I make it more palatable by adding honey. You could also mix it with other herbs to mellow the flavor. Tinctures are an efficient way to take herbs internally as well. So first I break up the dry flowers a bit, then I'm adding a 50% alcohol vodka to cover the dry flowers. And I'm using the folk method here, so I'm not measuring and making calculations like I sometimes do, but this method also works well. I'll shake or agitate the jar about once a day for 6 to 8 weeks, and then I'll strain out the flowers and the tincture will be ready to use. And finally, calendula is an edible flower. The resiny middles, though, won't taste great, so I pluck off the petals. You can use the petals as a garnish to add a joyful touch to your meals. Calendula is an herb that I want in my garden every year. Because I grow and dry it myself, I can be certain that I'm using the highest quality plants in my herbal products. If you want to get started growing your own herbs, I highly recommend calendula as one of your first plants.